Okay, so let's talk a little bit about niche. Really can be a can of worms, for us. And what I want to say first of all is, if what you're doing is working, then do that or keep doing more of that. And don't feel like after today you need to go and completely rework your niche. Um, I think finding your niche is about niching down enough to get the results you want for your business, your vision, your gifts and talents, your market, importantly. I titled this talk, "The riches are in the niches." Sometimes they're in the niches. It would just be, not doing it justice if we made blanket statements about niching down, which is what a lot of advice points to out there, which is niche down as narrowly as you can, because that's how you're going to win. And it's just not that straightforward. So first of all, why niche at all, right? Uh, from a marketing perspective, specificity equals clarity, and clarity equals conversions, and marketing clarity equals business growth, right? People are trying to burn as few calories as possible when they are just living life in general, but especially when they're making a decision about where to put their precious resources, their nuts and berries, right? We are hardwired to preserve calories and to preserve our resources, right? So when you convey specificity, which then conveys clarity, it provides an enthusiastic kind of affirmative experience for a consumer, kind of a hell yes experience of, I finally found what I'm looking for, right? And if we think about what business is and how sales work, why do you buy anything? Well, people buy things because they have a painful, urgent problem and they want a strong, fast-acting solution to it. That's the only reason why you guys have any business at all, right? In mental health, this holds very true, right? People have very painful and urgent problems and they want help with them yesterday, right? Doesn't mean we can take all their pain away tomorrow, but it means that we have a powerful solution in what we offer and how we help. So specializing, or niching indicates a higher level of expertise as well, right? So you look at the generalist compared that says, the classic psychology today problem of, yeah, we treat anxiety and ADHD and bipolar and borderline personality disorder and also insomnia somehow. Not likely, right? Versus you land on, the practice that says we do CBT for insomnia, like we are your expert for CBTI, treating insomnia with evidence-based care, evidence-based approach, whatever. Powerful and compelling, conveys that expertise that people are looking for. And let's face it, people want the best, right? Same thing for you guys. You want the best for your life, whether it's for you personally, for your marriage, for your child, right? You want the best, and you're more willing to pay for it than you might think, right? Our clients are more willing to pay for it than we think. So again, it creates that affirmative experience between consumers and your marketing collateral. Also, niching down can be rewarding personally in growing your skills and your expertise, right? So years ago, I was trained heavily psychodynamically and then found that my clients they were learning a lot about themselves, but weren't really getting better and staying better. So I went deep into the CBT world, and that tended to pay off really well in really focusing on one particular modality for one issue and growing that part of my specialty. How niche do you need to be? Well, again, you just need to be niche down enough to get results. And if you've gone through Fully Booked, you've kind of heard some of this. It has to do with supply and demand for your market. So for instance, a generalist practice may very well thrive in a smaller town, but fail miserably in an urban market, right? This is just the reality. In a more saturated market, you probably will do better to be more niche. So let's say you have a very general brand in an urban market. One question is, can you make up for this by having a really killer brand, right? I don't know. I think the verdict is out, because you will see brands like, let's say, ThriveWorks, the franchise, that can do well in an urban market. And they serve literally everybody, right? And we'll have 50 therapists with all sorts of focuses, etc. There isn't really something cohesive drawing it together. other than they have some brand equity, they're pretty well known, they dominate local search results, so they get plenty of clicks and they accept insurance, right? I don't necessarily think that's a powerful brand or something we should try to copy, right? So again, if it's just, I'm creating a generalist brand in an urban market, it's probably not going to be super compelling. Your niche, when thinking about it, it should feel natural. I think to an extent, it should feel like a natural intersection of your interests, your passions, your gifts, and market opportunities. So if I were to draw like a Venn diagram, it's kind of an intersection of all three, right? I don't want anyone to force themselves into a niche. It's going to make you miserable. My PhD professor used to say, in picking our dissertation topic, pick a topic that keeps you warm at night, right? And I thought about that a lot in terms of what keeps me warm at night. It's probably weird that helping therapists with business keeps me warm at night, but I really like thinking about business. So that's what I told him. And then he said, get the hell out of this PhD program. There's no place for business in academia. That's how I ended up here with half a PhD. That's for another day. I'm not salty at all about it, as you can tell. So another way to evaluate niche opportunities is looking at actual search keywords and search traffic. I did this recently with a group practice owner in Raleigh, North Carolina, who said, you know what, my husband and I, we want to buy a house in South Carolina on the beach in the Outer Banks in this little town. And I want to integrate this part of my vision for my life with my business. So I want to create a satellite office there. What do you think? I said, great, let's look at the opportunities there. What's going to work, right? Who lives there? Mostly retirees, right? It's also just stereotypically, stereotypically. So we look at the data a little bit and we find two trends that are really obvious and that align perfectly with her personal interests: couples counseling and Christian counseling, both of which she does and has a big part in her practice in North Carolina, right? In looking at those, you look further, and what I'm looking for is either medium to high volume, search volume, with low to medium difficulty. That's a market opportunity. So I'm working on a market opportunity here in San Francisco for EMDR, right? There's high and increasingly high search volume, relatively low competition. That is what some will call a green pasture, right? So cows want to go and munch on the grass that hasn't been totally chewed up yet. That's a green pasture in marketing or in looking at a market. So it intersects perfectly, right? Again, with a market opportunity and also with what she's actually good at and has clinicians ready to do and gives her life purpose and meaning, right? Kind of the perfect intersection there. Last couple things, types of niches, right? One way to niche down is demographics. So we have someone in another group, Rob Allison, his demographic is helping men or helping young men, find purpose in their lives, right? That's a niche around a demographic, right? Michelle Button, who was in this group, she niches around women's issues. They do a lot of work around fertility, postpartum depression, so really niching around a demographic there. It could be teens, could be teenage boys, right? Could be geriatric population. I met a therapist doing that recently, not that common. It could be around clinical issue, right? So demographic is one, clinical issue is one. Anxiety, depression, trauma, addiction, couples work. You get the picture. It could be around modality, CBT, EMDR, EFT. And of course, it could be some combination of these, right? So we specialize in EMDR for female veterans with PTSD. Highly niche practice. Again, an urban market might do well. The last thing I'll say is, I have experimented with this a bit in my practice with some positive results, and I've probably explained some of this to you guys with having a brand that is not super narrowly niche. So our main Calm Again Counseling brand is around evidence-based treatment of anxiety and depression, right? That's the main focus of the brand. There's market opportunities that align with our specialties. And so I've created these kind of lookalike brands, these niche lookalike brands. One is emdrsanfrancisco.com, also just bonus points for being a keyword friendly domain. Doesn't have to be for you guys, but it just was convenient and worked. worked out, and is going to give me an organic boost. So again, specificity is key. My therapists that do EMDR, are going to be on this site. We're getting some organic traffic here. I'm also running ads to it. And this site is doing better with EMDR leads than the Call Me in Counseling site, which also lists EMDR. There you go. Specificity wins, right? The other one, created another one, the Center for Teen Therapy, same thing. We have some organic traffic. We run some ads. Specificity is key. If I'm sending my child somewhere, I want to make sure that I'm sending them to actual specialists. So this is just a model that I've played around with the past year or so. I've seen a couple other people do it really well, especially in the Bay Area where it's so dense. And it's a low risk way of trying to grow a different brand, right? Or grow a part of your brand. If you have a part of your practice that's really has a lot of upside, then certainly creating a lookalike site like this could be a very low risk and low cost way of carving out another part of your market. So things are only getting more competitive, even if you're in a smaller market, right? Also with the rise of mental health startups and BetterHelp and Talkspace and all these things. So I think we just have to be constantly looking ahead to the future a bit and thinking, how can I keep carving out space for myself, my clinicians, and my brand? So there you go. We got some time on the clock to discuss. I'm curious what you guys think.